Juliet's nurse comes. She's like, hey, Romeo, want to get married to Juliet? He's like, okay, yes, we'll do it. We'll get married.
The whole movie is about let's do dirty things, but say it's for Jesus. That's why I like it.
That church is a giant fire hazard, though. I mean, you gotta admit,
Right.
that's a lot of fire hazard.
You're so.
And nobody was
die.
attending any of it.
I think that in TV and movies, the biggest difference between real life and television and movies is the candles. There's so many more candles.
You know how long it would take to light all those? How many arm hairs you'd burn when you forget one that's over here and you're like, that one didn't light?
Hello, I am the Friar, Matt Stokes.
Jesus Christ. And I am a maiden, Lacey Roth.
You're no maiden.
I'm a Montague. I didn't know we were doing a thing.
Sorry.
It's
Joining
okay.
us from all the way from Mantua via ineffectual delivery service. Who do we have on the line?
Screen Time Coda.
Oh, hello.
Hello, welcome.
You're doing it.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
We're pleased to
I'm
have
excited.
you. Tell the loadies out there, the people who listen to our show, who you are, what you do.
So I'm Screen Time Coda, big movie person. I do film reviews, film recommendations, film facts, videos. I just like talking about movies. I always loved movies since I was a kid and just decided to take the plunge last year and doing this film talk, film world and share my love for it. And I met you amazing people and here I am.
What kind of stuff do you cover?
Oh man, I cover a wide range of things, all the way from horror films, family films, action, comedies, westerns. I love westerns. That's
Hell yeah.
a very, not a lot of people enjoy westerns these days, but you got to give the props to the classics like those.
Hey, are you going to see Kevin Costner's Horizon?
Yes, I'm actually really excited about it. Like,
Yeah, I'm kind of excited
it's
too.
supposed to be like 6 hours long though, so I'm like, oof.
Coda has an attention span issue.
Well, he's like, he and Francis Ford Coppola are both like, yeah, I sold all my property. I invested everything I have into making this insane movie.
Oh my God.
We'll see how it works.
I got fingers crossed. Like I got more hope in that movie than I do Megatropolis or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
Well, I think if they can tie in some sort of like Salisbury steak special for everybody who goes to see the Kevin Costner movie, I think they're really gonna
Bathroom
gonna
breaks.
do some business.
They gotta have bathroom
Yeah.
breaks, right? There's gotta be
You
intermission.
gotta have like 4 intermissions.
They have to.
You got to know your audience.
Diapered.
Yeah, maybe it comes with a diaper, a Kevin Costner branded diaper.
Oh, that's like, but it looks like jeans at the top. It looks like cool underwear.
Yeah, it looks like Wranglers. Yeah, you gotta look cool, man.
You gotta look cool. I was gonna say, it's the thing about Coda is you can't throw a movie at him he hasn't seen. Well, don't try. But the thing I noticed about him right away was he has these random I've never heard of them before, but they're not old. Like he has a way of like finding these like just lost in time from the aughts movies.
I love to get a movie, that's like 10 years old that
That's what he
nobody's heard
does.
of, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's like the restaurant nobody knows about that you're like, trust me, go check it out.
It's primo. Right.
Like, trust me, it's a good spot.
Right. Yeah.
And then they come back and they're like, hey, you were right. It's a good movie.
Tell me another spot. Tell me another movie. It's like, oh, I'm not made of spots in movies. Whoa.
Exactly. I mean, I need a break, man.
Right. Just love me for the one I already gave you.
Right? Oh, just watch that one more time.
Right.
The film we're going to be talking about today, William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet, 1996. You brought this movie to our attention. This is your selection. Can you tell us first? I guess I want to know your history with the movie, but more broadly, just like Romeo and Juliet, the idea, and Shakespeare. Tell us your relationship to all of those things.
This is not a trick question. Don't worry, you can't fuck this up because wait till you hear mine. It's not impressive.
I just remember watching this movie a lot when I was younger. I really enjoyed it, and then last time I watched it, probably when I was leaving high school, because we had to read the Romeo and Juliet during Shakespeare in English class. So I was like, let me give this movie another shot. And today, but yeah, I just remember enjoying it, and I had a big crush on Claire Danes. So I mean, I couldn't go wrong with that. So I saw that on the list, and I was like, that one.
And it had been a while since you'd seen it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Over 10 years.
Love to hear that.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Love when you're not so certain. How's this going to play now that I'm a bitter adult? Now that I know about the world.
Yeah.
Right. What am I going to think of these fucking children?
What have I seen?
Were you a Shakespeare guy at all, like in high school?
Shakespeare guy?
Oh, there were Shakespeare kids.
Shakespeare guy.
I know you weren't, Lacey, but there were Shakespeare people.
Whatever.
I like Shakespeare. I didn't dress in that way. I wasn't one of those types of people. I enjoyed a good Shakespeare tale.
Every fucking thing I've said about Shakespeare over the past few days, Lacey's like doing the jerk off motion. She's like, you snob. It's like, I have an English major. This is the only time I can use this.
Yeah, whatever, buddy.
Lacey, what's your history with Romeo plus Juliet?
I thought you'd never ask. I loved this movie. It broke my heart every time I saw it. It was one of those movies where I was like, oh, I was such a big girl. I even watched it through to the death. Like I'm such a brave person for watching it all the way through.
You are.
This movie gets me in the feels every time, and I'm gonna spoil right here. It did it again. Like, I can't get the fucking song out of my head, and I want to cry when I think about it.
Which one?
Kissing you.
Kissing you. When you die.
When you're dead. That
in
one.
The tomb.
Stop it. Okay. Right. So, but it fucking gets me. And every scene with the two of them, I am like, yes, you got, oh, this is passion. This is love. This is real. Oh, I'm going to cry. Let's cry in each other's mouths and kiss so hard. That's how I feel. Okay, so that's my history with this movie. And that is after I get over the way that they fucking talk. I have to like it despite that. And here's why. Well, this would have been something I felt before college, but Shakespeare ended my college and acting career. Okay, he fucking ended it because I went to UNO as a drama major thinking I'm a fucking shoo-in.
It's the University of New Orleans.
I'm a fucking shoo-in. I've never done one play, but I'm really dramatic. Sign me up. Yes, and I did that. And then you step into the class and you're like, okay, well, we're going to start with Shakespeare. And it's like, fuck. And I completely I tried. I had a C in that class in my very first fucking drama class.
So that's why you resented every time I said the most rudimentary knowledgeable thing.
It's my dyslexic brain. We weren't saying it or watching it. We were reading it. Mm-hmm. And like, you want me to follow this and pretend I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And look, that class was full of people like me who could read. That's mean. That's not fair.
Yeah, because like for an actor, it's supposed to be like, but this is the good stuff. This is Shakespeare. You get to really cut loose and you'll never have lines like this.
Thank fucking God. I can barely read regular stuff. And so anyway, I got immediate imposter syndrome and fucking turned my back and never returned to Sir Shakespeare. Mm-hmm. I can't even say his name.
Damn you, Shakespeare!
I thought it was funny that Lacey was on a TikTok live that I was listening to. And they were talking about Cruel Intentions, and Lacey said, this movie takes place over like 18 hours or whatever. And then somebody said, Romeo and Juliet only takes place over 3 days. And then Lacey said, oh, I love that movie.
Fuck you. Coda would have said the same thing.
I just thought it was funny that you heard Romeo and Juliet and you're like, oh, yes, a movie.
I knew we were going to be covering it on the podcast. I'm just really dedicated to the podcast. Anyway, this is why I call you a snob, because you think I'm fucking uncultured and ignorant when it comes to this. So I preemptively defend myself.
I was just making fun, just joshing, just
and
having a little fun.
And if you're allowed to think that I am some sort of like uneducated cretin, I'm allowed to call you a snob. You Fine. Fucking snob.
Fine. Here is my history. My history with Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, sure. Go ahead and tell us.
Okay. I think that does everybody know Wishbone? The character Wishbone, the little dog.
That show was
Yeah. Well, he had, in addition to the TV show, he had a spin-off series of novels.
Were you best friends? This is someone that grew up in Mandeville with you. You fucking rich little bitch.
The character.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Had little novels for children, little child-friendly versions of these famous stories. And in my 3rd grade class, we read the Wishbone version of Romeo and Juliet.
Of course you did.
And I think that was sort of a gateway to me reading books, like real books. Even I know Romeo and Juliet's not a book, but. And then that same year, we saw a play of the middle school doing Romeo and Juliet.
Jesus Christ.
And I think, I don't know, it just sort of activated something in me of being curious about stuff. Lacey, how am I supposed to talk when you're...
Sorry, I'm so mad at you right now.
Jesus Christ.
No. I'm chill. Think of the happy times.
Okay, for those listening, everything I say, Lacey's sucking a dick in her mouth. Like a fake dick. Okay. So... I feel like at least 2 high school classes I did, we talked about Romeo and Juliet, and then I did a couple of Shakespeare classes in college. So I didn't realize until watching this movie how just sort of in my brain this all is.
Well, and now being a lover of movies and seeking them out more often, I for the first time realized how used these small phrases are in products and commercials and movies and in naming episodes of like animated series and stuff. I can't think of I should have been writing this down as I thought of it, but I'm like, Shakespeare does get around, doth he?
Which is what, like, it's got to be it's got to be tough for these actors, like especially when Claire Danes is doing the Romeo. Like, how do you deliver these lines straight? It's
she does it though.
Like, how do you play Hamlet and seriously say to be or not to be? Like, these are such cliches.
Right.
To mixed results, I'd say, in this movie.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, it's got to be like asking somebody to say hello to your little friend. Like, are you sure you want me to say that?
I had never seen this movie. I'd never seen this movie. I didn't know much about it. I'm only a little familiar with Baz Luhrmann. I guess, Coda, what's your Baz? You're a Baz guy?
Hit or miss. Going back into rewatching this, I didn't even realize he was the one that made it.
But once you watch one more,
I was like, no way, huh?
But if you watch his movies side by side, it's like, duh. I mean, I feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he
mixed media.
He doesn't make normal movies.
He does not make normal movies.
Like even like if this most recent movie was Elvis, and you're like, okay, straightforward biopic. Oh no, it's insane. It's a movie on cocaine that's screaming at you.
That's what it is. The movie's half on cocaine and half on ecstasy.
See, I liked the Elvis movie. I just hated the soundtrack placement for that movie. I think adding a rap song into a 60s setting movie was just not the right choice.
Yeah,
that's his thing.
Yeah.
He makes you he places you in a time and then he fucks that up. But he's like a collage artist. He's just
some of his, like I said, he's a hit or miss.
Yeah. I'm making you watch Moulin Rouge. This is happening.
I've never seen Moulin Rouge.
Is he the one that made that?
Yeah.
Yes. That's why I'm making you watch it.
The lady who was my girlfriend before Lacey loved this movie and loved Moulin Rouge. And I don't know. So I've always been like, oh, that's like a boring ladies movie. So
it comes with tampons to dry your tears on.
Well, like I told Lacey, I've only made it like 5 minutes into it. The moment I heard the first song, they did a Nirvana rendition or whatever. I was like, nope, I'm done. Nope, that was awful.
Really? What song is it?
Teen Spirit, probably.
Smells Like Teen Spirit, I think.
Yeah,
okay.
I think so, yeah.
Huh. Yeah,
it was weird.
We're watching it. We're watching it. We're talking.
We were going to watch it last night and just ran out of time. I like to watch at least one of the other movies by the directors we're covering, but I guess we'll talk about the making of this movie.
But wait, what's the other one? Why can't I think of what it is?
Australia, The Great Gatsby, Elvis, and his first movie was Strictly Ballroom. He's only made 6 movies, which surprised me because, like, I've known his name since I was a teenager.
He turned Australia into a miniseries on Hulu now.
Like, it's just the movie cut up.
Yep, and it's like it's no. I didn't like Australia. That movie was not good.
That's the one I'm curious about because it's like that seems like it's supposed to be the most normal movie, and I can't imagine him doing a normal, just sort of sweeping historical epic.
The Get Down though was pretty straightforward. I don't remember that being like on coke and ecstasy.
I didn't watch it.
I don't know.
Which one was the Get Down?
The Get Down was like a series on Netflix or something. Yeah. And it was about, I think it was about the start of rap, right? Wasn't it about, it was like the history. It's how like how, turntables and all that began. That
Huh. I didn't know.
He sounds like the perfect man to tell that story.
I get it. And now I'm saying it out loud. It's weird. Yeah.
He sounds like the perfect man.
Let's do predictions. Let's hear from Lacey first.
Why are we going me
We
first?
always go you first.
Oh.
Hark, a herald angel sing. Here is my prediction. They're both gonna die. I found this shit to be like profound as an idiot child. Not that idiots are childs. Not that childs are idiots. I'm pro-child. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be fun. I think I'm going to like the overly stylistic approach this guy takes to his shit. Like, everything's dialed up. It's almost camp. I remember it being very vivid in color. I remember always being sad once the death happens. I know Blanchett and...
Blanchett.
That's her fucking name, right? It's fucking Carrie from Homeland. You know what I mean? And DiCaprio are great chemistry. I remember believing their 3-day romance. Yeah, those bitches are gonna die.
I nailed that shit. I nailed it so hard.
They did die.
They did die.
Oh, man.
And I knew I got Kate Blanchett's name wrong. Whatever. I padded it with the Homeland reference. And every time I go to make a fucking review now, Matt says, make sure it's funny. And then he leaves me.
A prediction.
Yeah, the prediction. Like, fuck
Mine
you. These are
so boring compared.
No. You can't fuck it up. You just have to do it. We just need your pre movie thoughts so we can make fun of them.
Well, and it's just good. It's just good. What space were you in before you watched the movie? Like Lacey said, she remembered them having good chemistry. And then afterward, she said they have good chemistry. And I said, did we watch the same movie? But we'll get into that.
Well, let's fucking get into it, you garbage person. Okay, here goes Matt. His fucking wad of shit.
Okay,
Go on.
My prediction for Romeo plus Juliet, Baz Luhrmann's film, starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes. Now, I know nothing about this movie as I make this prediction. Truly know nothing other than... So I'm looking at the poster and it has a bunch of guys pointing guns at each other. Okay, so it's like a West Side Story thing. It takes place in modern day. I think I remember that even though this takes place in modern times, they still use the Shakespeare language. Can I just pull up the Wikipedia page for Romeo plus Juliet? Okay, just stand by, everybody,
What the fuck?
while I do this bit of research. Okay. Is a modernized adaptation, albeit still utilizing Shakespearean English. Oh my God. How? Oh, I have no idea how that is gonna, it doesn't sound good, but who else? So Brian Dennehy. Okay. John Leguizamo. Okay. Harold Perrineau. He's always a welcome presence. Pete Postlethwaite. Paul Sorvino. M. Emmett Walsh as the apothecary. M. Emmett Walsh, the greatest character actor who ever lived. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd is Paris. Okay, I think this movie's going to be a masterpiece.
I love that on the fly learning.
Dude, I did not understand the assignment.
I didn't understand this.
A criminal underuse of M. Emmett Walsh, I would say, and all of these character actors.
It was a good role to put him in, though. It was a believable thing for him to be. I love the giant back tattoo and the see-through shirts as a priest.
You were thinking of different guys.
No, I'm right.
So going into Romeo and Juliet tonight, after not seeing it for over 10 years, I am hoping I'm still going to like this movie as much as I did growing up, but I am also afraid that I am not going to like it because as much time has passed since this movie's release, I'm wondering if it's even going to withstand my nostalgic feel for this movie as I was when I was a kid when I saw this movie. So let's hope that I like it, but I am not very faithful. I'm very 50-50 on this.
No, see, you did perfect on this assignment. This is the point. That And it shows that this is a quintessential load-bearing beam for you. There's stakes involved. There's something about certain movies that are part of us in a way that we don't want to learn bad things about them. So we keep them special in our heads. And rewatching them and judging them is the whole experiment we're doing here.
And I like that. A movie like this, which I didn't see, but just revisiting Romeo and Juliet, and Titanic, which I now realize Titanic is so Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
It's obvious, but you view the character, you respond to the characters differently at different times in your life. And now as an adult, I'm like, Romeo, you fucking suck. But don't keep us in suspense, Coda. What'd you think of the movie this time?
It was weird.
It is weird.
It made him feel weird in his pants.
Like it was like modernized timing with Shakespearean language. Just it was cool when I was in the 90s, but when I'm like an adult, I'm like, okay,
It's kind of a gimmick.
Come on, man.
Right.
I think it's like a near fatal miscalculation. Like I totally get the idea of. And Baz Luhrmann said this, like, I want people who don't read Shakespeare to understand, like, these people feel the exact same way that you feel. This was 400 years ago.
Right.
When people were the exact same. They can speak in their language and you'll totally understand everything they're saying.
Yeah.
Well, then in that way, I think it was successful because I always remember this movie as being hard the first 15 to 20 minutes, especially the opening scene is so, those are the dumbest characters that are open the movie. But
you
maybe
it's at me?
but maybe it's just a bias, right? Like, I think it just takes that long to get acclimated to the language, because by the time they get to Romeo, I understand everything without having to like do mental gymnastics. So, I mean, you just have to settle into it.
But I think that the miscalculation is they say the lines, but they don't deliver them in the Shakespearean rhythm. And these are rhythmic lines that rhyme.
Matt said they rhyme, and I said, what? I didn't hear one fucking rhyme.
Yeah,
And
and
so
so
it
they
just-
really do. If you actually listen to it, yeah, they really do rhyme.
But they don't deliver them in verse. And I think that that's what makes it so awkward. And I'm never able to overcome it as a gimmick. And so I think, like, no, you needed to do some adjusting. I know for lots of people it totally works the whole time. For me, I've watched this movie twice in the past 2 days, and I'm just so aware the whole time. And some actors are doing it better than others.
Yes.
The other thing, I think Leonardo DiCaprio is a giant hole in the middle of this movie.
He's the best part. I'm leaving you.
Everything just happens so fast. Like the camera work and the way I understand it's word for word Shakespeare, but it's just the way it's all mashed into this setting is just, it's so fast paced. Like everything just like zooms past. Like
Right,
take
you don't
the,
get
for
to
instance,
sit
the
with
beginning
it.
with the gas station. Yeah, like with the gas station, like the fast camera work and everything, it's just everything just happens so fast. But that's like the best part of the movie anyways.
And that, like, I so appreciate directors taking big swings, having distinctive styles.
Yeah.
And, he comes from theater, and I think theater people are like, they expect the audience to do a little work. You're going to have to give yourself over to this and understand you're looking at fake sets, so you need to use your imagination. And I like that he's translating that to film. He's saying, you're going to need to do some work to keep up with both the style and the language. I like that. It's just all of his movies always take me some time to settle into, and I never really am comfortable. And I like this movie. I appreciate it. I think I have big problems with it, but I certainly appreciate it.
Okay.
But I'll talk more about my problems as we go along.
All right.
And let's start talking about the history.
Well, we're going to talk history of fucking Shakespeare?
Yeah, so
Christ.
said to have been written, Lacey, shut up, between 1591 and 1595. And I'm sure I knew this before, but I was startled to learn this. He didn't invent these characters. They were around for hundreds of years in poems and novels. The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet by Arthur Brooke, itself based on an Italian novella, and versions of the story had just been going around for
You're
hundreds of
going
years.
to tell me it's in the Bible.
Not in the Bible, but I realized, like, so he's just kind of a fan fiction writer.
You fucker.
It did make me realize, there's people who say like all movies today are just pastiches of old movies, or
Right.
we're making tributes. Everything is Stranger Things, or it's Ready Player One, or it's just we're remixing and we don't create anything new. But maybe we've always just done that.
Maybe there's only 4 stories.
Yeah, because even before then, there's like, go back to ancient Greece, there's like Pyramus and Thisbe from Ovid's Metamorphoses are these ill-fated lovers. It's just a trope that's basically as old as people.
Love is hard.
Love is hard.
You find someone you really, really like, and it's hard.
They have a movie about that, about how William Shakespeare didn't even write any of his plays because he could never read or write in general. And it's called Anonymous. It's actually a really good movie.
The Roland Emmerich movie, right?
I believe so. It's a really good one. It got mixed reviews, but I myself enjoyed it because it makes you really think like, holy crap, maybe he really didn't write all these plays. He just stole them from somebody else.
I've never been a Shakespeare truther. I'm still not, but I like doing some research on him recently, realizing how fast he wrote, how prolific he was. I realized he must have been insufferable to be around. And I've always heard that Mercutio is the Shakespeare avatar.
Okay.
That's him that's what he was like in real life. And he said he had to kill Mercutio midway through the play or else he would take over the play.
And everything bad that happens is almost his fucking fault. And he fucking curses their houses. Fuck you, Mercutio. You have to be the star of the show, and then if you're dying, you have to kill everyone that's gonna follow you.
No, he's right.
Asshole.
These rich fucks are just feuding and shooting each other and blowing up gas stations.
He was doing that. He was shooting into the water. He was shooting into the air.
He's not blameless. I agree. He's not blameless.
But yeah, I mean, everybody else sucks.
Did you know that scene, the scene where he curses the house with the storm in the background, that was a real hurricane they shot it?
Yeah,
What?
I found that out. Yeah, it's like one of those fortunate things that happens when you're shooting. It's like the metaphorical storm is happening in the film as an actual storm hits.
I
where
felt
we're
it was a
shooting.
bit on the nose. Honestly, I was like, oh, you might have stepped too far in this one.
Blame God, blame Poseidon,
I always do.
or the X-Man Storm.
Okay.
All right.
Damn you, Halle Berry.
Screen adaptations. There are fewer movie adaptations, just straight adaptations of Romeo and Juliet than I thought. There's a 1936 version with Leslie Howard and Norma Shearer. The super famous one that I feel like everybody watches in high school from
The big one?
1968.
The one that you have real big on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this one.
by Franco Zeffirelli.
I now realize I've seen it.
with Olivia Hussey from Black Christmas,
Watch your mouth.
who goes, hello.
Yeah. Okay.
And West Side Story is obviously an adaptation.
Oh, you're missing a couple. There's that James Franco one.
Yeah, there's been some ones in recent years, but I just wanted to hit the big ones, and then the 1996 version. Okay, Baz Luhrmann, born Mark Anthony Luhrmann, born and raised in Sydney. He is the most commercially successful Australian director of all time. Four of his movies are in the top 10 highest grossing movies in that country. And again, he's only made 6 movies, which I'm surprised.
That's a high batting average. If you're going to do 6.
Oh, just for like how long he's been in the consciousness, I just assumed he's made more, but I've basically seen most of his movies. His mother was a ballroom dancer. He trained as a ballroom dancer as a kid, and he turned that experience into a play called Strictly Ballroom, and then he adapted that as his feature film. I watched about half of this movie last night, and for the first 10 minutes, I was like, this is fucking great. It's funny. It's like it takes place in this this tiny world of ballroom dancers and the petty tyrants who rule over it. And,
Best in Show?
Yeah. I like a petty tyrant movie.
Yeah.
But then it very quickly turns into a sort of
A romance, a love triangle.
a romance where like a nerdy girl with glasses gets picked to be the dance partner. He's like, why don't you take those glasses off?
Well, you take those off, you crikey.
And then suddenly she's the hottest shrimp on the Barbie. And I turned it off, but his style is right there from the beginning. His just coming on you, the viewer style is right there from the beginning.
Well, but a heavy romance is also part of his style, like a tragic, heavy, intense romance.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Elvis, but I heard he dies. So
yeah. After Romeo and Juliet, he makes Moulin Rouge, Australia, The Great Gatsby, The Get Down, and Elvis, most recently, which was a big hit for him. And we'll see what he does next.
you ain't nothing but a sandworm.
That's right. Fade Rotha. Okay, let's talk Leo. It was Leo Mania, you guys, in 96.
Oh, kill me with your love, Leo.
It's funny. I saw Titanic at age 10, and since then I've been a DiCaprio fan. But all my life reading film criticism, I've read people who don't like him, and I've always been like, what are you talking about?
This Boy's Life, Marvin's Room, Basketball Diaries, What's Eating Gilbert Grape, they're fucking banger after banger after banger.
And what I've always
Basketball
read them
Diaries
saying is
such a good movie.
It's so good. You got any coming in balls?
we'll probably cover it on the show one day for a good time. What the line I always heard was like, he's trying, like many pretty actors, he's like, take me seriously, I'm gonna get gross and dirty, take me seriously, and he's never convincing. And I never felt that way until I watched this movie.
This movie's
Although
a pretty movie, though.
I see it in like every time I watch Titanic, I'm like, okay, you're obviously the weakest actor here. I love him now. I love him as Rick Dalton. I love him in Killers of the Flower Moon. I think pretty young Leo is not. I'm finally seeing what all the people were complaining about.
He was still fucking his way through town. He was distracted.
And I realized the reason I reject Timothée Chalamet is why these older critics rejected Leonardo DiCaprio.
And you're a fool.
Get this baby off my screen.
Tim, he's really fucking good. I was not a full Chalamet until Dune 1 and 2, but Dune 2 sold me. He's fucking great.
Dune 2, I'm like, you're all right.
I'm impressed with that kid. I've
am too.
grown to like a lot of his movies. I haven't watched Wonka yet, though.
I haven't either.
Yeah, me neither. I'm sure he's talented. I'm just saying, I realize now I'm becoming old man who yells at clouds, who sees like a young person. I'm like, get this fucking little kid off my screen.
I got a controversial take. I think he would have made a good Crow, the Crow guy. The way he looks in Dune 2, he's so emo and so tortured. He could have done a good job. Shut up. No one's asking you, Coda.
The Crow. I don't care about the Crow, so this
bother
means
you.
nothing to me.
Okay, we're going to cut that out of the podcast. You want there to be pickets, rioters on our lawn?
We'll take it if I can get it.
What, buddy?
Jesus. A man died.
Yeah, that's sad.
Okay.
And I think it's interesting to think, like, in 96, DiCaprio's been on the map for a few years. He's on the cover of magazines. He's a tween idol. He's an Oscar nominee. And everybody's like, this is our next great movie star and thespian. But before this movie came out, he hadn't actually had a commercial hit. Like these movies, like This Boy's Life, Gilbert Grape, Basketball Diaries, Quick and the Dead, they were not commercially successful.
I didn't know What's Eating Gilbert Grape wasn't. Did it have a cult following? My movies usually do.
Yeah, but that comes in later years.
I know that.
But he got the Oscar nomination. And by the way, I'm sure that performance is so sensitive and holds up so well now. Him as an autistic child.
All right.
So yeah, the people kind of have it out for him. Like, okay, show us. Can you actually carry a movie and make it a big hit? So they cast him in the movie, and it's a big coup because he's at least very famous. But who's going to play Juliet? Well, to play Juliet, they of course hire Natalie Portman, aged 14. And
she was 14?
14 years old. And because
They fucked.
Yeah.
Juliet is 13 years old.
I mean, I know that, but Claire Danes isn't.
Claire Danes was 17. Yeah, it's a good idea.
How old was Romeo?
21.
Okay, ew.
Was DiCaprio or Romeo?
DiCaprio.
21.
Ew.
And when they started doing rehearsals, they saw DiCaprio kissing this little baby, Natalie Portman, and said, this isn't going to work.
No, fucking great. Jesus, you couldn't do the math before you got her in? Natalie, get out of here. You have your time. Shit.
So they settled on Claire Danes.
Oh, My So-Called Life. That's fucking gross.
Are you guys, did y'all watch My So-Called Life?
I knew it was cool, but I didn't watch it.
Coda?
Same.
Yeah.
I watched Little Women.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't she the one that dies?
I haven't seen
Spoiler.
Joe.
Okay.
I don't even know Little Women. Yeah, my So-Called Life ran for 19 episodes in 1994. Critical hit, but it was canceled. She was in the Gillian Armstrong Little Women. She was in Jodie Foster's Home for the Holidays. This Romeo and Juliet was a big hit, but her movie career never really took off. I think the biggest swing was Terminator 3. She's the female lead in that. But basically her career kind of stalled up until Homeland in 2011.
Yeah. She seemed like she came out of nowhere. But I loved her from this movie.
Yeah. And I think she's great in this movie. And I generally like her in everything. I watched the first season of Homeland again last year. And let me tell you, that thing does not hold up well.
Really?
She does. She's great. So that's Romeo plus Juliet.
Same with Julia Stiles.
What, that she like drops off the map?
Oh yeah, that she dropped off the map and then like started coming back.
Yeah, it's like women in Hollywood. You got the stone on your hand that starts glowing when you reach age like 23. Like, okay, no, you're washed up. Get out of movies until it's time for you to play the old mother or the best friend.
I don't love Julia Stiles. That's a topic for another conversation.
Okay, we'll talk Julia Stiles next week.
Okay.
We'll talk about the movie Romeo and Juliet itself, and it's set in fair Verona. We first see a newscaster, and she's delivering the chorus monologue that opens Romeo and Juliet, but she's doing it in newscaster diction. It's very funny. And of course, the monologue of the play tells you exactly what's going to happen. Two lovers, they're going to kill themselves. You're in for a hell of a time, people. And she says, is now the 2-hour traffic of our stage. And I wrote down like, oh, that's funny. I thought she was referring to like, hey, after this, we're going to get to the traffic report. And
yeah,
then
I did too.
Then the second time I watched the movie, I watched it alongside, like reading the play alongside it. And that's in the play.
Well, yeah. I just thought she found a different purpose for it.
Oh, I thought they added that. I didn't realize yet at this point in the movie that they're going to literally just take every line from the play.
But they still did something smart with it. They did make it seem like a news moment.
Yeah, you're right.
So that's what I think the play does really well in breaking it up the way that they do, in pairing it with emotion. That's probably why you don't have to totally follow the words anymore. At some point, I just follow their body language.
You could, if they were talking like adults from Charlie Brown, but delivering it the way they do and you see their faces, you'd still get everything.
Yeah.
Without having to understand what they're saying. And
which is very theater.
Yeah.
Everything's very big.
That's the conceit of the movie. They're going to throw you in. It's set in modern times, but otherwise the society still functions like medieval Europe. Like the dad gives away his daughter in marriage and there's a police captain, but he's still basically the feudal prince of this town. They refer to like the walls of Verona.
And then they repeat the intro again right after.
Yeah, they do. Now, this time narrated by Pete Postlethwaite, who plays the friar. He then repeats it, which is weird. But this movie is mostly shot in Mexico City. I think it gets a lot of mileage out of just how cool Mexico City looks, but also how unaccustomed you are to seeing it. Because I think
it looks broken down, but built up.
I don't know if they say that this is supposed to be California or I just read that on the back of the box.
Well, no, it feels that way because they're on a beach and they keep calling it Fair Verona and I keep thinking Venice Beach.
Yeah.
And there's just something very like pedestrian about the beach. Like it's just part of these people's normal life. They go and eat on the beach. It's like worked in, it's not where they vacation and relax. It's just worked into their everyday. And there's something about that.
But you hear California, but you're like, this doesn't look like California.
But it looks like California if everybody shot everybody all the time and it was ruled by two random fucking white guys.
And the beach stuff was filmed in Veracruz, Mexico.
Okay.
But I thought, instead of big noble families, these are mafia families who have these corporations. As
They're mafia?
They're mafia, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that till the second time.
I just thought they made widgets. And they were like competing widgets, Coke and Pepsi.
That's the legitimate side of their business.
Oh, well, I didn't know this. So there's a reason why everyone's got a fucking sword. My pow sword.
Yeah. And this, like, right in the first few minutes, you're getting, like, just so many cuts from news footage to real footage to stock footage to grainy footage. And then the parents will come on screen. You'll get titles so you feel like you're watching a soap opera. But that's why they call it soap opera. You're watching an opera. And we have all these great character actors. We have Paul Sorvino doing this insane Hispanic accent as Juliet's father.
There they are.
So tell us about the street warfare, Lacey, in this early section.
Oh, goodness Christ. Immediately you see that there's a lot of testosterone, a lot of energy, probably a lot of drug use. These are they clearly signal as rich kids. Both sides, both houses have really nice vehicles, and working age boys not working. So it just seems like these guys probably run the town. They've got nothing better to do, and they've decided that what they're going to do is terrorize the streets and act like they own everything. And to me, Romeo's side always seems more innocent. I don't know if that's like fair, but these are Capulets. Sorry, these are Montagues, right? Romeo's Montague. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so I'm like, oh, these are just some good old idiot boys being fucking idiots, but they're not going to hurt anybody. And then they get to the gas station. I don't know. And everything goes to shit really fast, but they seem like pussies as soon as they're pressed to do anything. There seems to be a slightly level-headed cousin who does not want any more violence, seems a little bit over it. Maybe he's been put in charge of the rowdy boys to calm it down.
That would be Benvolio.
Oh,
whose name
delicious.
Means he's benevolent.
Oh, he sounds really yummy. And we see these high-heeled boots, but we don't see the person, and someone goes in to pay for gas, and then it's John Leguizamo looking very cute. I like his whole get-up.
Best performance in the movie.
Yeah, he's fucking awesome.
Coda, what say you?
Coda, what do you think of his performance? What kind of set him up to have to say yeah?
I like John Leguizamo in general. I've always been a fan of him. I mean, The Pest is one of my favorite 90s movies. So him in this role, I think was perfect for him.
I think he's like actually menacing. Like,
yes, he scares me.
Yeah. He's actually scary in this ridiculous movie. Like, ooh.
I mean, he can switch it up so well. And then you go like to Wong Fu, and then he's completely different. And then you go to the
Luigi.
Sure, and then you go to a fucking Ice Age, and then he can play completely subservient and useless, and
he has
very convincing sloth.
Very convincing sloth, and his stand up is fucking
very
hilarious. He's good at that too. He's very versatile. He is very theater. He totally hones in on his character. All right. Oh, Jesus H. Christ. Now we go to the next side. Now, here's the problem with fucking Titanic existing is that all I see in this movie is Titanic light. It's all of Jack that we're going to get one day. We got him smoking tiny little cigarettes. His hair's disheveled. He's writing in a tiny notebook, only he's not drawing or sketching. He's writing little notes, and he's in the water a lot. He's under the water a lot. It's very Jack. So we meet tortured Romeo now. He seems to be a family favorite. He seems to not have to get his hands dirty.
No, and whenever he's not around, his parents are asking, "Where's Romeo?
We're out." But that's what
is he okay?
He doesn't seem like the muscle, but he does ride with the rowdy boys. But he seems to be kind of precious.
Yeah, because he writes poetry, so you know he's deep. And he's in love with a lady named Rosaline. Yeah. Like Jack Dawson, Romeo fucking sucks. And you realize that as an adult. You're like, oh, no, you don't want to end up with Jack Dawson or Romeo. You realize like, oh, yeah, you're cool. He's cool when you're 9 years old. But then you're like, your insight into art is look at the use of color. And you're just scribbling in your little notebook and smoking little cigarettes as Radiohead plays.
Look at that collar, though.
Like, you know, he's listening to Joe Rogan. He's like a men's rights activist.
Shut up.
He's getting some dangerous ideas. Like, you know, he's very easily corruptible. And like, I think hiring DiCaprio to play that, you're kind of playing with fire. You gotta really help him along. And I feel like to give him all these weighty Shakespeare lines, I'm just not convinced by any of it.
Oh, God, as soon as he's on the screen, I'm in.
Soaking
I'm
your
in.
jeans, yeah.
I just love
Pulling
him.
up on Lacey's sofa.
Okay. I was wishing for more wrinkles because I do like the more weathered, older version of him. But when you first see Claire Danes and you're like, oh my God, she looks like a child. Like they really are trying to go for the real situation here, the youth, the way too young to be making these decisions. How if you gave younger teenagers the ability to do what they wanted to do on the day-to-day, they would probably do a lot of bad things, a lot of big decision making that maybe shouldn't. Yeah, but now I sound like I'm against other things that teens should get to do, so never mind. I love and hate when we first see Romeo.
Do you like him in this movie, Coda? You'll set your opinion shall be the definitive take. Is he good or bad?
I'm with her on the part where when you see him, all you see is Jack, because that is all you see when you see him smoking the cigarette, writing his little poems, and it's hard to picture him away from that. But the way he talks and portrays Romeo is just I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't big on it. It was weird because it was like so mellow, and they try to make him out to be this bad boy, but you just you don't see it. You just see a little rich kid. That's what I see.
Yeah.
It's just a rich kid who doesn't want his mommy and daddy's money, but really he's still going to use it though. So it's just it's hard to take it seriously.
And well, Titanic hadn't come out, so it's not the movie's fault that we've seen Titanic,
Sure.
but I was astounded like how similar Titanic is in its beats, like him being like led through this world.
Yeah.
But the crucial distinction here is he's also
got money.
rich and part of this world. People have always said Romeo's a tough character. Romeo as a character is reactionary and dumb and just bumbling into things. Juliet's the real meaty role. She's the one who makes the tough choices. Romeo's like the one who's lovesick and then instantly falls in love with a new lady. So it is a tough ask.
It's his idea to marry, and he marries this person after one day, and then immediately goes to hang out with the boys and escalates something into a fucking murder, duel, whatever. It's like, you just got a secret bride. You're supposed to be bringing the family together with love or whatever fucking shit you talked yourself into, and then you immediately sabotage the whole thing. Did you regret doing what you did? So you did this on purpose? Mm-hmm. It feels like self-sabotage.
Which is like a drama, like in the philosophy of what makes tragedy in drama, they always point out Romeo's not a tragic hero. Juliet can be considered, but Romeo is not, because he's not hoisted by his tragic flaw. He's just dumb and unlucky. And that's what kind of makes him less compelling as a character.
He expects her to go along with it the whole time. It's kind of an asshole. It's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's definitely like getting a little rape kissy. I mean, like he's all up. I mean, he's kissing her long before she was trying to be kissing him.
I don't know.
And he was on, a little
ecstasy,
drug.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I did not notice that when I was younger.
Party time.
Right. It's like, are you actually fucking in love? A second ago, you were like mesmerized by the existence of fish, and now you're like, girl with fish.
But that's.
Ooh.
I mean, it's why the play has endured so long, because like most people who see it are like, oh yeah, I remember when I was like that.
Yeah, and I got Twilight vibes. I got Titanic vibes. So the Titanic's always felt like more grown up, to a slightly more grown up version.
Romeo and Juliet's kind of like the Twilight of its day.
That's what I'm trying to say. A fish and a star. How are you going to marry them?
Yeah, you can. You can.
All right, whatever.
So Paul Rudd's in this movie.
Right, and he's very Paul Rudd. I was like, this is kind of a waste for him. And then he starts reacting to things.
He's so good.
And I'm like, okay, no, you're perfect at this. I don't even know if this was like built into the character. Is he supposed to be an unserious little man?
Yeah, he's a twerp.
You're sure he's not supposed to be more like Rose's fiance?
Like Cal?
Yeah, just a total prick, but still oblivious. I just
have to do a close reading again.
I kind of think Paul Rudd just like found a version of this guy that's really entertaining.
But this is, of course, he's coming off his starring role in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers.
Oh, what a glow. What an afterglow.
So he's still riding that high.
I tell my girlfriend that I always forget that Paul Rudd acts in 90s movies until I'm watching that movie and I see Paul Rudd. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot he played in this.
And you're like, oh, okay, he looks exactly the same 35 years later.
I find this scene interesting. They open up. It's him. What's his name again?
Paris.
His name's Paris. Okay. Prince in Paris. Anyway, and whatever. Paris is in there talking to the mob boss of Juliet's dad, and he's asking to marry Juliet, and the dad is saying 2 more summers. I want my kid to be 15, not 13, is what he's saying. And I was like, all right, Dad. Okay, Dad. More grass on the field to play this ball. I like this. And I mean, Paris isn't like totally bought in, but he takes it okay.
No, the dad says like, okay, I know you want to marry her, but you need to convince her to marry you.
Oh,
Because it's not just my approval you need to win her.
that's what I'm
over.
saying. He says nice things. He's a nice dad right
They
there.
do. The speech he gives, they take out the line, "She hath not seen the change of 14 years."
Okay.
That's the only line they don't have him say from the play, so that they can't make her canonically 13 years old.
I didn't know they took that line out.
But yeah, that's just the other. That's the other suitor Juliet has is Paul Rudd. We finally meet Juliet 17 minutes into the movie. Yeah, tell us about Juliet Claire Danes, Lacey.
So I don't find her gorgeous until she's got the wings on and she's staring up at the moon that way. I just find her very like childlike, and too young, which maybe it's the point. She's with a fucking, nanny, a nurse. I mean, she's just, they do a really good job of making her seem very young, which makes sense why I like this movie at such a young age. I don't know. She's getting ready for a party.
Yeah, the Capulets are having a big costume party at their mansion, and Juliet's mom is like, "Oh, Paris is coming. You want to go see Paris?"
She seems to have her head in the clouds. When you first see her just underwater, looking like a mermaid, and she's just taking a bath like a big child, and then, Mom, she doesn't seem like she's going to be the very smart person that she actually is.
Mm-hmm. But he does. I really like the way all of this is shot, especially when she looks out at the balcony at the fireworks, and you just feel like. The promise of life for a rich and powerful young lady. Can't wait to get out into the world and see what it's like.
Right. Wings clipped.
At that point, we finally meet Mercutio, Romeo's best friend, played by Harold Perrineau, who I didn't realize was going to be playing Mercutio, but he is playing him as like unapologetically.
He's not gay.
I mean, he's coded as gay.
No, he's not.
All these retrospectives I've read have called him a queer icon.
Oh, okay. I mean, because he's going to a costume party, so it's so hilarious. And his friends have such a big reaction to his outfit that I thought that's the joke. But what I love about him is but he fucking works it. He has a full drag performance at the party. Like he shows his ass. Like even if he doesn't mean for it to be queer coded, it is. So, I mean, I guess I just don't know if it's intentional or accidental.
I think it's very intentional because... and
but he's got a beard.
To show him being so flamboyant and his friends loving and accepting him, and it not like the movie not needing to like look at you and be like, isn't this weird?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, kind of cool for 96. But Mercutio is a lot. He's just manically sputtering all his things. And I've always liked in the play where Romeo just says, "Peace, Mercutio."
Right.
Thou talks of nothing. And if Shakespeare is like him, you just realize Shakespeare must have been a nightmare to be around. Must have been like hanging around 10 Lin-Manuel Mirandas.
No, that's too many.
Yeah. And then he has them all take ecstasy.
Yeah, Mercutio's a interesting character.
But what else does that that actor do?
Lost.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a great character actor. He's been in a million movies, but Lost.
He was also in a show, HBO show called Oz.
Yeah.
Where he played a prisoner.
I've never watched Oz, but there was a big Oz to Lost pipeline because Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse were such big fans of Oz. But we definitely know him best as Michael. Michael and his son Walt. So the Capulet party is crazy. This Baz Luhrmann would do this again in The Great Gatsby. Just big, insane ecstasy parties. And Romeo and Juliet see each other through a fish tank. Many articles I read about this movie call this scene iconic.
It is.
And it is. And Lacey will sometimes say to me, "Matt, you care about cinematography. I don't." And I will point you to stuff like this. The reason you like this scene is because of the way it's shot.
Look, I know I care about when something's good, and I know I can tell you when something's good. I told you that I can tell that was good. Don't make me say the same thing 3 times. But
it's good is what we're saying.
My point is, as I don't have to have it.
You don't
I don't
need the cinema in your movie.
Exactly. And I don't always notice it.
You don't need like
Jesus
stuff on
fucking
screen.
Christ. And I don't always notice when it's bad in a way that takes me out of the moment like you do. That's all. I'm just not a snob.
Yeah, it's like I read a book and it's like I don't need the words.
Oh, you're a fucking idiot. You don't need words in a book. You need pictures.
But when you think about it, it's kind of a little weird that they got a fish tank dividing the men's and women's bathroom.
Is that what it
Is
is?
that what it is?
I just thought it was a hallway.
Yeah, it's dividing the bathrooms.
Oh, I think
I
that
found
rules.
that out.
That is fucking cool.
I think we need to get one. Yeah, I'd put this like top 3 tank scenes in movies. I think Venom with the lobster tank scene is my number 1. And at number 3, I'd probably put Lethal Weapon 2. But
Wait, what about Slither? Creature. Slimy. Cretin. Slumber Party. With the girl that turns into the fucking flying demon. Help me. Help me.
Splice?
Yes, Splice.
Oh, that was a fish tank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number 4.
Well, and wait, in the Shape of Water.
Shape of Water, number 5.
Okay.
But we'll do our full rankings at the end of the episode.
Okay, great.
Yeah, she's literally wearing wings. Earlier in the movie, Romeo's like, I want a chaste, virtuous young lady.
Edward wearing wings.
Uh-huh.
Told you it's the twilight of our childhood.
And now she's here. And so they go into some elevators and kiss a lot.
God, is that hot when they pull each other into those elevators and they're like getting there just in the middle of time and they're in the just in time to not be seen, and they get just those moments that the elevator is going. Why is there an elevator in the house?
It's a big house.
Big house. But did it not remind you of our love? We had so many elevator moments because we met each other at work. So it's like once the elevator doors closed, it was Matt and Lacey time.
Lacey, you're revealing scandalous secrets here.
I just love
We
that.
kept it professional.
But not in the elevator. The elevator's our time.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's not like we were
Your old
fucking.
boss
It's only
is
a
gonna be
couple
watching it and
floors.
be like, oh, that's why it took him so long.
That's why it was always just some sort of like emergency in the elevator. Yeah, no.
Yeah, but then they get split apart. Juliet's mom and nurse are like, come see Paris. And Romeo watches her get pulled away, and Leonardo DiCaprio has just the worst. Is she a Capulet?
Gross. They really should
The shock
brand
on
their
his
women.
face, and he's just
You can
standing there.
And also the Molly wore off. So he's like, oh, I'm coming down. And this? Come on. But I think it is the most well-observed teenager childlike thing to just be like physically pulled apart and to be like looking for each other. And you're not far apart from each other, but you're both being asked to do something you don't want to do. And just the hiding of it, the hiding him, the close calls. It fucking works for my loins on a whole other level.
It does work for me because, yeah, that's what you're like. You're just reacting to your hormones. There's nothing else in the world except this person.
And you don't have the control that you wish that you had. And in your mind, you thought, if I could have a sleepover with anybody, if I could be anywhere, if I had a car, if I had the freedom, life would be so different. And then you don't realize, no, this is all fucking awesome as shit because you don't have those things, because of this yearning, because you can't get everything you want right when you want it. And when you grow up, it's all going to suck.
We have the balcony scene. And again, it's like impossible. How do you deliver lines that are just cliches that are so iconic?
These work for me the best.
And in the setting with the balcony is the most famous part of the play. We'll add a pool to it. That's what we'll do.
I fucking love these scenes.
And I think DiCaprio is good here with the physical comedy because the lights come on and he just bumbles around. He's good at everything in this movie except talking and making faces. And you know, he hears Claire Danes talking about Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo.
He's a bit of a creeper.
I mean, yeah, but that's in the play. Like, what do you, yeah.
I don't know. They took out the 14-year-old part. Why don't you take out the other creepy parts?
That's true. Well, but he doesn't mean to be creepy.
I
It's
know.
it's just circumstances. Yeah. And then they run into each other. They go swimming. They
Coda,
declare.
what do these moments do for your nether regions, huh? You into it?
Tell us about it.
Tell us about your nether region.
I'm on that factor of, homie over here, Leo, is just sneaking around this back poolside, just hoping for Claire Danes to pop out and start singing poetry.
Right. I mean, out of a
It's
whole
little weird.
mansion. Right.
But when I was a kid, I was like, yo, if this is real love, I gotta give me some of that, you know?
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You gotta go swimming at night.
This is the height of romance. Yeah. Every time we've swam, like,
Ugh.
we're like, let's recreate something magical. It fucking sucks.
It sucks. Well, especially at night. It's cold. You can't see anything.
There's mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes. It's not sexy like this.
Lacey, yeah, I enjoy this as a romantic scene. None of this movie do I find sexy at all.
God, it's so hot.
It's so weird.
And he's over there in a pool wearing chainmail. Like, come on.
I was
That's gotta
concerned
be
for his
really
safety. Right. Yeah. You're gonna sink.
He's just over there. Oh shit.
You're gonna rust.
He's gonna sink in this 3 feet of water. So yeah, but you also find Twilight sexy. Like you find
Yes, it's because girls are supposed to be chaste. This is romance that's okay. They kiss and immediately decide to get married. You don't understand the very like sexed up movies like Jawbreaker, like oh God help me. There's so many movies that I watched as a kid where I'm just like, I'm not this. I can't be this. I'm not this. I can't be. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Cruel Intentions. It felt so foreign. I felt so left out. I felt like I don't make sense here. I'm not supposed to enjoy this. I watched this and I'm like, well, there's a version of love that I'm allowed to have. Just a lot of kissing, and then you get married, and then you kiss a lot more, and it just felt so fucking safe and so. Like, if only a guy would only want this from me, I could do this and I could still love myself.
Yeah. I will point out you're almost 40 now, though. You're not a kid. So.
I know, but it still pulls on those heartstrings of like, I was wired to think I needed to be like this. And when I was any other way, I felt like a fraud. It wasn't until I was with you that I felt like okay with like being.
Going in the pool. Yeah.
Right. Going in the pool.
Going in the pool.
So they agree. They're going to get married tomorrow in secret. That's their plan. And finally, we get to Pete Postlethwaite. The whole movie, I've been like, when is it going to get to Pete Postlethwaite?
Well, he's not called Pete Pasta. Hurry up.
And he plays Friar Lawrence. And he's lecturing some kids about some herbs. And then Romeo comes in and he's like, Father, I met a girl. And he's like, again. He's like, no, but for real this time. And Father Lawrence is quickly like, oh, I believe you this time. She sounds like the real deal. Why don't you come get married? Come around too. And he's like, okay, good. And there's a kid choir singing When Doves Cry.
And it's so pretty. That choir kid is good. She has never looked more young than when she's about to get married.
Yeah, when she's marches down the aisle, she is tiny.
Her
is
hair
Juliet, is Claire Danes.
Well, and her hair is supposed to signal child. I mean, bangs.
And she's in a wig the whole time.
That's a wig?
Yeah. Yeah, her real hair made me look older.
She also had a special wig for the underwater scene.
Mm-hmm. Lacey, your wig dart didn't go off.
It doesn't.
You're slipping.
No, it doesn't. It just bad wigs. I learned about when we were watching Twilight that almost every single character has a wig on. I had no idea.
That's just, in movies, because especially if you're shooting over a long period of time.
Yeah.
You got to control that.
See, and everyone on that live also said that. And I was like, well, I'll go fuck myself. Sorry, I didn't know that. Very interesting fact. Leo gets to look fucking normal and sweaty and hot with his real hair all the time.
He's hot
he's
right
so
here?
hot. I can't take it.
Lacey,
my body.
That's the least hot thing you've ever said.
Look at him.
Yes, he's a little boy.
He's 21.
You want to fuck little babies.
Okay. How
you admitted it.
Dare you? I want to fuck young 20-year-olds. That's what I know. Well, only if it's Leonardo DiCaprio. That's what.
Well, wait. Before they get married, Mercutio and Benvolio, they talk to Romeo. They're like, "Hey, Tybalt challenged you to a duel," and he's like, "Oh, okay, but I'll deal with that later." The Juliet's nurse comes. She's like, "Hey, Romeo, want to get married to Juliet?" He's like, "Okay, yes, we'll do it. We'll get married." Everybody's on the same page. Get married, and then "Love Me, Say That You Love Me" starts playing. It's really good. Does everybody like this song?
I've always liked the song. I love the church in this movie with the fucking neon crosses and the way too many candles. I love religion in this movie. Everyone, I mean, like they're so fucking Catholic. God's on their gun.
This is such a Catholic movie.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
The big fucking Jesus-y thing on top of the church. The priest has a neck to butt crack fucking cross tattoo and wears see-through shirts to show it off. Like it's like, oh yeah, is it okay if we do raunchy dirty things as long as we're saying it's for Jesus? And that's what I love about it. That's the whole metaphor. As long as I get married, I'm going to get married for Jesus because I want to fuck. The whole movie is about let's do dirty things but say it's for Jesus. That's why I like it.
Why Catholic though?
That church is a giant fire hazard, though. I mean, you got to admit,
right.
that's a lot of fire hazard.
That's you're so.
And nobody was
die.
attending any of it.
I think that in TV and movies, the biggest difference between real life and television and movies is the candles. There's so many more
You know how long
candles.
it would take to light all those? How many arm hairs you'd burn when you forget one that's over here and you're like, fuck, that one didn't light.
Yeah, every time you go take a soak in the tub, you got to light 14,000 candles.
And they all cost at least $12. You're going to burn each one every time. I'm going to run out of candle money.
Burning my wallet.
Yeah.
So what happens
Can't,
next?
nobody.
You know what, Coda, you take this one.
So in this scene, Mercutio confronts Romeo on, I want to say it was on the whole Juliet thing and to have his back on everything between the families. And then the nurse shows up for Romeo, and Mercutio calls Romeo a word that I actually had to Google, and turns out it was a slur. It was a slur for calling him gay. And I was like, what? And so wait, hang on. No, John Leguizamo shows up. Why am I blanking on this right now?
Tybalt had seen them at the party earlier, and he goes to Juliet's father. He's like, "There's fucking Montagues here," and Mr. Capulet's like, "It's okay, don't worry about it. We're having a good time. Why don't let this upset you?" And he's like, "Well, I'll get my revenge one day, and that one day is now.
The next day.
You came to our party, you son of a bitch. Now let's duel."
Okay, but this doesn't make sense because literally Mercutio to get fucking DiCaprio's attention just goes pow pow in the air. He shoots his gun. The thing they do for funsies is just like lighting matches, setting things on fire with gas, and
There's even a scene where he's shooting into the ocean.
he's just shooting into the ocean. Probably, that's their whole thing is gunplay. They are bored rich guys. So then fucking Tuttle or whatever his name is shows up, and it's like, okay, let's do the thing where we do the shoot. We're gonna have a duel or whatever, and they do it, but then that goes different, and so instead it's just some hand-to-hand rough stuff. They break a mirror or a window or something, and Mercutio gets up and he's like, "Oh my god! One of us was injured, and it was me." How did people die in this world all the time because of y'all? How are you so surprised?
Yeah, but this time it's one of them. Wait, you missed something very important.
What?
Tybalt says, "Romeo, I want you." And Romeo's like,
Oh,
no,
that's right.
no. I love you now. You're
love
I can't
you.
tell you why. I have a super secret reason that I now like your family, but don't ask me why. I'll tell you later. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? No, let's kill each other. And he's like, no, I don't want to fight. And then Mercutio calls him a pussy. And then Mercutio decides he'll duel instead. And then Tybalt kills Mercutio with the glass. In the play, he says it's
a very
only a
tiny
scratch. Yeah. I did remember the play I saw in third grade, the actor who played Mercutio shouting, "It's only a scratch," and I still think it's funny. And then Romeo goes super mad and he's like, "No, I'm gonna kill some motherfuckers." And DiCaprio couldn't be less convincing as a rage-filled monster. But he goes and he kills Tybalt dead and then shouts to the heavens, "I am fortune's fool."
Well, that's because Mercutio gave him a pox upon his apothecary. He cursed his family, and he made a hurricane happen in real life.
Mercutio says, "A plague, oh, both your houses." And he says it multiple times,
Yeah.
but it's like he'll say some other stuff and then go back to it. "A plague of both your houses."
Rude.
I like the way that sounds. I'm just going to keep saying it until I die.
Leo, Romeo is like 3 feet away from, in the scene where he shoots him, he's like 3 feet away from him. He shoots like 4 times and only hits him 1 time. He's actually shaking the gun as he's shooting at him.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. None of these guys are very good at anything.
No, they do not. They don't look to be good. They do seem like they have a lot of toys and a lot of time. That's what they're supposed to be, and that's what they are.
But Tybalt, or at least the way Leguizamo plays him, is like he's the actual badass. Like he will actually shoot you, from 1,000 feet away and get you. But
Right.
Yeah, he has a scope for his sword.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay, so
What are these scenes? Why do you have the dad looking this way at his daughter's tits?
well, I'll explain.
Ugh.
Lacey has a bad habit of describing in this audio podcast of describing things that only we can see.
Oh, whatever. You have a bad habit of showing me pictures and telling me not to look at them.
So the Captain Prince shows up and he's like, this is some bullshit. Romeo is banished. And Romeo's like, that's worse than death. So he goes to Friar Lawrence and he's like, I don't know what to do. And Friar Lawrence comes up with a plan. Go visit your wife and then go into hiding in Mantua. So he goes to Juliet's house and they start kissing each other real hard.
Ew.
And then Desiree's song, I'm Kissing You,
Stop.
plays and they make tender, childish love.
Stop.
And the next morning, they're like, he's playful under some blankets, and I just barf at how much I hate him here.
I love him so much.
And then he flees for Mantua, and Juliet has a premonition of him being dead in the pool.
Before he makes a giant splashing sound in the water of a pool that's like 3 feet from the balcony that nobody can hear, apparently.
Right,
Yeah.
I know. Fucking, moms hear what they want to hear. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say,
Like, okay, I don't want that to have been one of those boys.
but the dad has finally capitulated to Paris. He's like, you can marry my daughter. Marry her on Thursday. We'll go tell her the news.
She'll be so happy.
So they go tell Juliet, and Juliet says,
Juliet's making the homeland face.
fuck no, I'm not going to marry him. And he's like, will we disinherit you? You're no daughter of ours. And she says, fine. And that's why, people point out Juliet's the one who's the actual active character. She's making choices, making sacrifices, trying to be true to herself and her love. I'd rather live in honest love with Romeo than have the wealth and titles of my family. And if this means my death, then I go and I welcome death. And Paul Sorvino yells at her a lot. And he's a trained Shakespearean actor. I think he's really good here when he's, yelling at her, hang thee, young baggage, disobedient wench.
I think out of everybody, he's the one that delivered the Shakespearean lines the best out of the whole movie.
Yeah.
He looks like Caesar.
He was a stage trained Shakespeare actor. I mean, in movies he mainly plays mobsters, but
Right. But it's like you understand you have to do it with your full throat. You have to do it with gusto. You have to do it like it's the most important thing you've ever fucking said. And then people buy in.
He's also really good in I want to say it was one of his last roles, which was Repo the Genetic Opera.
oh,
He
I've
did
never
really
seen
good
that.
singing in that one too.
Oh, my favorite performance of his is he plays Henry Kissinger in Nixon, which was the year before Romeo and Juliet.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that one.
That's so good. It's crazy, but it's really good. And the nurse says, Juliet, you really should marry Paris. And Juliet's like,
Traitorous
fine,
bitch.
that's what I'll do. Fingers crossed behind my back. Okay, so the friar has a plan. And I gotta say, this whole play is the friar's fault. He's not he's not good at scheming. He's not good at communicating. He's like, okay, listen, Juliet, you take this potion. It'll make you look like you're dead for 24 hours.
There's little Montague boys running around all the time. That is far better way to get word to. Why are you using UPS? Like, just fucking tell a few people. They'll get it back to him.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Romeo, who's in exile in Mantua, he's like, I'll send a letter via this dumb postal service, this privatized postal service, post haste it's called, and they'll deliver the letter to Romeo. Romeo's also a dumbass. He's not going to pick up the mail. He's in the backyard fucking hitting balls with a cricket mallet.
Shooting rattlesnakes.
And of course the letters do not reach Romeo. And Juliet drinks the potion. She appears dead. So instead of a wedding, they have a funeral, a very hasty funeral.
Very fast. They don't embalm these days. That would have been a surprise. Wake up and you're stuffed with stuff.
But I like that the movie, even though appears to be set in the present, all the rules are still medieval rules.
Yeah.
I like that.
There's no judge and jury. It's just like, no, if you guys do that again, you're both going to die. I, the prince, say you doff dead.
So the friar's having a funeral, and then Romeo's friend Balthazar pops his head into the church, and he sees, and then the friar sees his friend run off, but instead of going after him, he's just like,
after him.
he's like, no, maybe I'll make another call to the postal service. I don't know.
Fucking, you see it on his face. He's got messenger written all over it.
Also, Balthazar sees that Juliet is dead, and he's like, oh, I got to tell Romeo right now. He's like me when I find out a celebrity dies. I got to tell people
come tell
right
somebody.
away.
Right.
I want to be the first person to break the news to you.
Well, maybe he knows she's going to lay there real sexy with candles. And if Romeo wants to get one last, you gotta go.
I think you might be right.
Yeah. What, Coda?
Oh, I was just saying, like, it's just the way that whole setup is. Like, yeah, I don't know why he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna go back to doing this fake funeral real quick. Like,
Right, I'll make a call.
That guy.
Because he's a pro. He knows if there's one thing he's good at, it's delivering funeral rites.
Is this the third time in this scene that Romeo screams at the sky?
It's like the priest is like that alcoholic dad that thinks he gives good advice, but really it's like the worst advice ever, but the kid still listens to it. And it's like, oh, I'll go along with it. It's
Just
okay.
pats him on the
It's a very specific comparison.
It's very specific.
But I love it. So, Romeo out in Mantua, Balthazar comes. He's like, oh, Balthazar, great news you've brought me, I'm sure. He's like, oh, actually, it's the worst news possible. Juliet's dead. He drops to the ground. I defy you, stars. Juliet. He sucks.
Does not suck. Look how beautiful he is.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't go right off the bat and say, by the way, she's dead. No, he's like, I got some good news and I got some bad news.
Good. They didn't have the wedding after all.
Right. She looks great.
Another special, Friday special at Ralph's.
Right. So if you're into that, I've got a surprise.
I like that they cut back to Pete Postlethwaite and he's like on the phone with the postal company. He's like, but I said the letter was important.
If it's that important, get in your little Pope mobile and drive to Mantua. Like you have agency.
So yeah, now Romeo has his own dumbass plan.
And his own fucking druggist.
Yeah, he goes to M. Emmett Walsh, the apothecary, who also owns the pool hall, and he's like, I need a dram of poison. And M. Emmett Walsh is like, I don't give it poison unless you're gonna pay me.
Okay.
And I do love he says such mortal drugs I have, but Verona laws death to any he that utters them.
Okay.
And Romeo's like, well, I just wanted to do the voice.
I know, it's good.
But I like that he says, I pay thy poverty. And when, because he says, like, my poverty consents, but my will does not. Romeo says, I pay thy poverty. And that's when Lacey said,
not thy will.
That's when Lacey said aloud, Shakespeare had some good lines.
See what you're doing? You're being a snob little bitch.
You were right, though. You're right. He does have good lines.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. You're celebrating me.
Yeah. So he goes back. So Romeo goes to the church. It's decorated like a Catholic wet dream. It looks cool as hell. The production designer is Catherine Martin, who's Baz Luhrmann's longtime wife, also production designer.
Wait. He has a wife?
Yeah.
That's not a gay man I was looking at earlier?
No.
Then he dresses amazing.
Yeah. Catherine Martin is his longtime production designer and costume designer, and she is great. And all his movies look incredible and have great costumes. So just shout out to her.
Shout out if you're listening.
I know you're listening, Catherine. And what I have to say to you is good day. So Romeo starts monologuing at the corpse, and he's about to take the poison as
You've never been a better listener, Juliet.
She's stirring. She's like yawning and farting and like basically like sitting up as he drinks the poison. She's like, oh, Romeo, good to see you. What? And this is a change from the play. A bad change. I think it's more powerful that she just wakes up and sees him dead.
Why is the body still sitting there?
Yeah. It's a different time. This is how you have a wake.
The friar should have been moving the body, but he was on the phone the whole time with the post
we leave the
office.
body here for 48 hours.
Right. You know, that's still an alive person you've left unattended. Why is the priest not there waiting to like greet her in case Romeo's not perfectly timed this situation? She's just alive and alone.
Because in the play, the friar takes Romeo in, and then Paris finds him, and they have a little duel, and he kills Paris. They eliminate all of that here.
Wait, then why doesn't Romeo know she's alive in that scenario if the friar takes him in?
Oh, not the friar. No, somebody else.
Fucking idiot.
Somebody else takes him in.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The friar is the actual bad guy here. There were many moments where he could have intervened to make sure this message was delivered. If he's so worried, Romeo clearly didn't get the message, sit there, wait for the fucking chick to wake up, be with her until you can tell Romeo.
I think he's smoking those flowers he was harvesting earlier. He thinks he's more capable than he is. Like Coda said, he thinks he's giving good advice.
Right.
But he's like, I don't want to drink this.
He's that drunk alcoholic father.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Anybody see my new back piece? Huh?
Oh.
So,
What a snafu.
so Romeo drinks the poison and dies as Juliet wakes up and she's like, hey, what I miss? What? And yeah, he drops dead. And then we get the classic Claire Danes cries, the ugly cry, the red face and the lip. And she's great.
That's it.
Romeo, no. Romeo, no.
That part
Brody, no. I'm so sad. So she shoots herself dead. And the
In
families
a real pretty way.
are sad about it. And the prince is mad, but he's also like, you fuckers, I told you you didn't want to listen to me, but now your fucking kids are dead and I'm happy.
And like, also, you only need to be half sad. Like, she was already dead. You guys already had the funeral. We just need the other family to come in around being sad.
Now you gotta have a double funeral.
Right, like what?
I didn't even think of that.
This already happened, everyone.
Hey, good news, your daughter wasn't dead. Bad news, she is dead now.
Right. It was a weird day.
Yeah.
Don't worry,
Right.
there was no blood splatter at all from the gun wound.
Just her makeup looks great. It was just a little.
Yeah, so in all a mixed day, you know, mixed baggage of a day.
Some good parts of the day, some bad parts of the day.
You want the good news, you want the bad news.
Right.
The movie does not show the families reconciling, which is always a big part of the play. Is now, you know what? Now I shake thy hand, Capulet. The newscaster comes back on. Never was there more a tale of woe than Romeo and Julio. And then Radiohead's exit music for a film plays, and it's fucking great. And I didn't know. I've heard the song 2,000 times in my life. I didn't know it was written for this movie. This is the film of the title, exit music for a film.
Yeah, I love Radiohead. I didn't know that was actually made for that movie.
No,
So
me
that is
neither.
an interesting fact that I did not know.
Yeah, and it's like one of their very best songs. And it's so it's so creepy and eerie at the end of this movie. I actually watched the credits a couple of times just to
Get an erection.
get an erection. Yeah, Lacey.
Okay.
That's the movie.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. Okay, so this is the moment in the show where we give our final thoughts and star ratings, and let's start with Coda. What do you think?
So, like I said, I didn't enjoy it as much as I did when I was younger. I still enjoyed some aspects of it. I think some of the scenes are great, but it's just this. It's everything about this movie is so, like you said at the beginning, it's so Baz. It's literally everything that's weird and eccentric that he throws in every single movie, and this is like the epitome of everything he's done. But it's the new age look of it with Shakespearean language that, and some of the actors just can't deliver the lines properly or just deliver the roles properly, but some can. So I out of 5, I'd probably give it like a 3.5.
Okay.
I agree.
Lacey?
I was between a 3 and a 3.5. I think a bit more of it worked for me than worked for you guys. And once I get past the fact that they're talking like that, I can just enjoy the performances. I am way more pulled in by all the romance stuff. And Claire Danes does a lot of heavy lifting. So yeah, I don't know, 3.5, because I'm not going to. It's still too sad. It still like does something to my stomach that I don't like. That it stays with me in a weird way. Like I've been hearing that song in my head all day, and it makes me not happy. Maybe because I'm on my period. I don't fucking know. But whatever it is, I'm only going to give it a 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't because part of my scale is rewatchability, and I know that you think that's dumb, and I don't care what you think.
All right, I give it 3 stars to because I really appreciate the direction, the production design, the energy. I like that Baz Luhrmann asks of you, the audience, that you need to meet him halfway, and that's the theater person in him. When you go see a play, you have to suspend your disbelief, and I like that. I wish more directors would do that. I feel like as CGI gets better, like they ask less of you. They want to just like everything you're seeing is real on screen.
It's the opposite of spoon feeding, which is very annoying when movies just give it to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like I get to participate.
If I had seen this when I was younger, I would have hated it because like I was more literal minded. Like we saw The Great Gatsby in theaters in 2013 and I hated it. And I watched about half of it like in the past few years and was like, it's like, I guess I couldn't handle how sort of, stylized, how non-realistic it is.
I'm a maximalist. It works for me.
And you know, I think of, I just don't have that attitude about movies anymore. Like, why do you demand realism that, you know, you're not watching real life, you're watching movies? So show us something different, show us something extreme or super stylized, super theatrical. But I feel like the using the Shakespearean dialogue really hinders the movie because they have to stick so close to the play. True. And not delivering it in verse is a problem. And then most of all, DiCaprio, I just feel is so wrong for this movie.
Name one. It's fine. But I mean, I appreciate the big swing, even if it was a miss.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, how could we know it didn't work if we hadn't had it?
Right. And for a lot of people, it does work.
True.
And I think it's a good thought is let's make people understand this is current. This language sounds archaic, but no, you'll totally get it. So yeah, 3 stars. I watched it twice in 2 days. I enjoyed it both times, but yeah, I would not say I love it. I just admire it.
There you go.
Yes.
Just like our relationship.
We don't love each other. We just admire each other.
Yes.
You're really good at what you do.
You're neat.
Okay, Screen Time Coda. Thank you again for joining us and giving so much of your time. Can you tell everybody once again about your channel and what you do?
All right. Yeah, I appreciate you guys once again having me on here. Again, my name is Screen Time Coda. I am on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I make movie reviews, movie recommendation videos. I also do fun fact videos and a bunch of other stuff. But I am mainly focused on movies. That's my love.
And he does very interactive lives. So he will rate your movie. He doesn't do these all the time, but he's a ball of fire when he does it. He had up like over 40 people in his live while he was just, and people are just spitting out movies. There's nothing he hasn't fucking seen. It's crazy.
So we'll link in the description, but if you're just listening, that's Screen Time Coda, KOTA, Screen Time Coda, on TikTok, YouTube, Linktree / Screen Time Coda.
He is a boy. Matt, until 2 days ago, thought Screen Time Coda was a girl, so there's that.
It's longer ago than that, but...
Yeah, it's like, you're always talking about this Coda. What's she like?
It happens.
Okay, so what's next for this podcast? Well, this episode, Romeo and Juliet's coming out on May 31st. So, folks, next week we're taking a week off. We are exhausted. We've done a lot of podcasting lately. So June 7th, we're off. But the following week, the Summer of Spielberg begins, baby.
It begins!
Episode 118 is about E.T. the Extra-Terrestrial.
Have you heard of it?
So June 14th, listen for that episode. Can't wait. So excited about the Summer of
We're
Spielberg.
going a full 10 weeks, Spielberg only, or 9 weeks.
It's 9 episodes over 12. We're doing 3 episodes break, 3 episodes break.
I did not know this.
Because the summer's harder for us because we don't have childcare. So, yeah, we're going to kick things off with one of Spielberg's most iconic movies, E.T., a movie Lacey keeps saying, well, that's stupid. I hate that movie.
I don't hate it. I just get bored.
It's great. You'll like it.
Okay.
You're not the only one.
Listening to the pod.
Okay. Thank you, Coda.
It's good. Good puppet.
You're a good puppet.
No puppet. You're the puppet.
You're that puppet.
No puppet.
All right.
If you're listening to us on the audio, we love you for it. If you're watching us on YouTube, that's great. But please do subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or any of the other podcast players of your choice and give us a review and tell a friend. Why don't you?
Please, for the love of fuck.
We are on social media. You can follow the show on Twitter, Loadbearing Pod. Me, Matt, I'm on Twitter at MattStokes9. The show's on Instagram at loadbearingbeams and on TikTok at load.bearing.beams.
Which is the superior place.
And hey, I'm on TikTok as well, MattStokes9.
Matt's actually been interacting. What a big boy.
So Lacey's is the show account. I'm the Matt account.
Yeah.
If a show it be, Lacey you see. That's how you remember.
Yeah.
I'm on Letterboxd at MattStokes9. Lacey.
No! Load-bearing Lacey.
on
On
Letterboxd.
Letterboxd.
See what she's watching. Judge her for her opinions. You gave that what?
Mm-hmm.
And the music on Load Bearing Beams, including the song you're hearing right now, is by my band, Rural Route 9. I play guitar in a band, and we make little songs for you to hear, and you can hear them on Spotify, Apple Music, and Bandcamp if you like the songs from the podcast.
Even if you don't, there's other ones, bitches.
That's true.
You know?
And even if you don't like those, you can still just...
Request one. He'll fucking do it.
Sure. You could just like hit like on YouTube or something. That's all.
Just be a buddy.
Okay.
Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
3, 4. Everybody, love bearing beams, 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 Spider-Man, love bearing beams, love bearing beams, love bearing